Hello, teachers. Thank you so much for attending this PD session on fiction versus nonfiction. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out so we can, provide better, I guess, way to guide our students when they pick a book on determining whether they understand what fiction and nonfiction books are. So let me ask you guys this. How well do you feel like your students, your second grade, third grade students, really understand the difference between fiction and nonfiction? And how do you know that? How do you know that your students understand? And this is an open forum.
Mine sort of understand. I mean, they struggle with the fact that fiction books can have a couple of can have facts in them. And so they automatically assume it's nonfiction. And
Okay.
Yeah, mine, they understand when it's really clear that it's a fiction picture book or nonfiction, it's giving you lots of facts, and they know where to find those in the library. But like Rachel said, when it's a fiction book giving facts, then they have a hard time determining, is it really a fiction or is it a nonfiction? Especially when the illustrator uses some, colored pictures versus some photographs.
Right. Right.
And then also the realistic fiction can be confusing or historical fiction because historical fiction does include facts, but it is intertwined with things that aren't real.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think all of those are very valid, and I think it's there's a lot of misconception that students can easily differentiate or be able to tell what is fiction versus nonfiction for all those examples that you guys mentioned. Now, excuse me. The purpose of this, PD is for us to basically educate our students and teach them how to determine and master the skill when they pick a book from whether from the library or your classroom book selection, what is fiction and what is nonfiction. So let's actually go ahead and will you guys let me know if you can see my screen? Can you guys see the screen that says fiction?
It's loading.
I'm sorry.
Yes, there we go.
We can see it.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm trying to make it bigger, but
If you hit at the
can you see it now?
top, you should. There we go. Yes.
Can you see it as a full screen?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, awesome. So this is a little Canva infographic that I created. Now, you might have to modify it depending on the grade level. So some of you guys are first grade teachers, some of you guys are fifth grade teachers. So you may need to change it to fit the wording for your student. But this is a very basic understanding of what fiction is. Fiction is a literature or media created from the imagination of an author. And this is where I would discuss a fiction is where the author just thought of an idea and created a story based on, what they want to write about. So it can be about cats, it can be about unicorns, it could be about historical fiction, it could be about, anything that the author thought of. And explain that it's also in a form of storytelling that takes on many different forms, such as novels, short stories, historical fiction, like one of the teachers mentioned and fiction, and here's an important trait of what differentiate between fiction and nonfiction is that fictional stories can be in a set of varieties of location and time and periods. It uses narrative elements or story element. A lot of you guys in second and third grade, you guys use that term and help with preparation for STAR tests such as theme, conflict, character setting, and resolution. And that's one of the biggest way that a you can differentiate fiction. It has story elements, characters, conflict. What is a problem? What is a solution? What is a setting? Versus nonfiction is literature or media that presents factual information and real events. And as a matter of fact, one of the students in my library came up, oh, okay, so nonfiction is like where you learn about the world. And I thought that was a brilliant comment. Yeah, absolutely. It is something that you learn that that applies into your real life. The purpose of nonfiction writing is typically to inform, educate, or persuade reader about a particular topic or subject. Um, it can take on many different forms, such as biographies or essays. And I think that's when you guys were mentioning sometimes that fictions can be so realistic that they get confused between fiction and nonfiction, and explain that one of the definite features, excuse me, of a nonfiction, it typically, not always, but typically will have a content, glossary, index, labels, charts, photos, and graph, versus nonfiction does typically not have a content unless in, however, they might confuse that with chapters. If you're reading a novel, they might see chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and yes, that is a content, but it may not have glossaries or index, and so on and so forth. So that would be the biggest difference between fiction and nonfiction. Fiction, story elements, nonfiction, facts and content and glossaries. And so again, this would be something that you would have to kind of modify, create an anchor chart with your students. I think that would be great, as you know, you get the input from them and have it up on the wall as an anchor chart. That would be another great idea for the for you guys to do at your classroom. Right. So with that basic information, what I would like for us to do is I'm going to show you two different books that shows, sorry, let me get out of this and make sure I have this. Okay, so your students have access to Sora. So I would advise, maybe this is what I pulled up. Can you guys see this, Sora?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your feedback. Now, I chose two books, one fiction and one nonfiction, and on one topic. So that way we're comparing apples to apples and not apples to oranges. So my topic is about cats. So this book is, let me open it up. This book is called oh, sorry, need to go to the first page. Is called Bad Kitty. Now, Bad Kitty is a great book. Typically, first grade, second grade students like this book because it has a lot of illustrations. Now, I'm not going to go through all the entire book because I'm not going to read it to you. This is just a guide for me to teach you guys on how to teach to your students. So, therefore, I actually took snippets from this book and put it on my Canva chart. So, let me show it to you through Canva. And I just wanted to show you guys how you can access Sora. Can you guys see where it says, I think it's uploading, where it says fiction versus nonfiction?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right. So fiction versus nonfiction. The first story is Bad Kitty by Nick Burrell. And I love this illustration because if you guys have cats, you probably could relate.
Yes.
So starting off, she isn't always a bad kitty. She used to be a good kitty until one day, oh dear, we're out of all the food for the kitties. All we have are some healthy, delicious, dot, dot, dot. And the story that, as you can see, the cat is kind of listening. It's like, huh? Wait, what? Healthy? Delicious? What's going on? And so the whole book goes through all the ABCs of healthy, delicious food. Now, this is where you guys would maybe do a stop and share a book. Now, take a guess. Ask the students, well, do you think this is a fictional book, non-fictional book? How do you know? And maybe have a buddy talk and explain to the class and to the teachers of how to, what they perceive as either it's fiction or nonfiction. And it goes all the way to the end and explains Kitty was not happy at all. Not happy. That was when she decided to be a bad kitty. Not just a bad kitty, but very, very bad, bad, bad kitty. And you could see that she's plotting something. It goes through all the ABCs, all the ways that she can be bad because she's getting all these healthy foods instead of her usual food. And again, discuss, hey, do you think this is a fictional story? Yes. Why? Why not? Do you think this is nonfiction? Why? Why not? And at this point, teachers, I would accept all the answers and not say, oh no, that's the wrong answer, or no, it can't be fiction or it can't be nonfiction, because we definitely don't want to discourage students from speaking and participating. And so just from, what we learned from the elements of fiction and nonfiction, can you guys explain what do you think are some of these, oh, I guess, sorry, obviously this is a fictional book. I apologize. So what are some of the traits that you saw that can define this book to be fictional book? And again, this is open forum.
The pictures.
Okay, the pictures explain that it's fictional. Like, what about the pictures do you think that made it fictional?
The expressions on the cat
That's what I was going
that
to,
was going along with the different parts of the story.
Okay,
and some of the vegetables didn't look real.
okay. Some of the vegetables didn't look real. Okay. Jackie, do you have a
No, it's just the characteristics and not the characteristics, the facial expressions, and
Mm.
like even right here where he's holding the flower in his mouth
Mhm.
with
Yeah,
the
like
one
one eye's
sprout.
bigger than the other.
Right, right. Yeah, and those are all great examples, and they're definitely true. Now, and this is where I would stop and kind of go back into, when you're teaching the lesson, go back and use that Canvas flyer talking about the traits of fictional characters. And absolutely, it's a facial expression, the foods and the yuckiness. But you can also talk about, who are the characters in this story? So who's the main character in this story, you guys?
The
Red
cat.
kitty.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. The cat is the main character. Now, the what is the problem in this story? What made it the one of the definition is that the fictional book has to have a problem. So what do you think the problem in this story was?
The
The
cat
food.
didn't want the delicious, healthy food.
Yeah. It
Okay,
was junk
Acting
food.
yeah, and that was a problem. Like the cat's like, wait a minute, I'm used to eating my cat food, whatever, the cat do. So that's when it decided to become bad. That's the problem, right? And now at the end of the book, there is a solution, and I didn't show you the whole entire book of it, but the solution actually ends up being that the cat, the mom or the owner said, "Oh, you know what? Never mind. I found the food." So, what do you think the solution or the resolution of the story was?
The cat got the kibble that he wanted back.
Absolutely. Yeah. The cat got the food that it normally wanted. And so, excuse me, that's when you can discuss the parts of the traits and the characters. And the kids are going to really love, especially doing buddy talk with them, no matter what grade level it is. And so just basically going back and referring to that the chart that I showed you, the difference between traits. All right, the next book that again I'm going to take short clips from Sora. The next book is called Favorite Pets Cats. Now, based on just looking at the cover page, do you think this is going to be fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction. Has a picture of a real cat.
Okay, it has a picture of a real cat. And do you guys remember going back from the flyer? What do you guys see here on the second page?
The table of contents.
Yeah, the table of content. And that is one of the traits. And that's when you can discuss with the students, well, what do you think that they're in this book? What are they going to discuss? And they're gonna, shout out, talking about your pets, care, and life. And we talk about what the table of contents is. So one of the from the table of content talking about pet cats. Do you have a pet cat? And then this is where you can have an open discussion. And they're gonna tell you about all their cats and the cat that they met on the street or the cat that they saw one time at the parking lot. I mean, you're gonna get all sorts of stories and discuss how can cats can make good pets. Here, you can talk about many different cats of breeds, many different characteristics, and again, get the inputs from the kids. They're going to tell you 100 and million one, and oh, my cat has this year, my cat, has this color. And so I love that the students will give you feedback, right? And again, different ways to talk about it based on table of contents. And here are some facts. So at the very end, So what is something that you see that are characteristic traits of a nonfiction book?
Well, they have a table of contents, and one of the chapters said cat facts. And
Absolutely.
there's
Pictures of the cats are real and they're not animated.
Right, right,
There's also
absolutely.
a lot of text features in the book, like headings, labels, bolded words.
you have an index.
Absolutely. All those are true. You're right. There are some facts, there are graphics. They even tell you the specific breeds and so on and so forth. So yeah, absolutely. And those are the things that I would definitely go over with your students. And again, I know this might be a great book to pick for maybe first, second grade, but for fifth grade teachers, you might want to pull out some books that you guys are discussing. I know that you guys are discussing right now um the civil rights in your history class. So you might want to pick out maybe a book on, nonfiction books on civil rights movement versus picking out a factual book. And again, the way that you can teach it is, very versatile. All right. So what I would like for us to do, teachers, is to play a quick little Kahoot game to see if you guys remember the difference between facts and opinions. So just to kind of break it up a little bit, let me pull up the stop share. So you guys can play it through your computer, or if you have a iPhone or tablet, that'll be great. All right. And the website to go to it's loading, it's kahootit.it, I believe. Can you guys see that it's loading?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, www.kahootit.it. And the pin is 202990. And if you guys could, if you want to make up a silly name, that's fine. All right, we have Jackie the llama.
I'm getting there.
Bubblegum Guppy, who could that be? And Ray Ray. All right, I love it. Okay, so there will be just 10 questions based on whether you determine if it's fiction or nonfiction. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
All right, let's get started. Fiction versus nonfiction. A story that is not true and has made up characters and setting. Would that be fiction or nonfiction? Oh, okay. So two teachers said it was fiction and one teacher said it was nonfiction. So what made you say it was fiction?
It's not true.
Not true. You're absolutely right. And also there are two other traits that tells you.
Makeup.
Made up. Yep. Made up characters and setting. Absolutely. Oh, Jackie, you're on fire. Good job. All right. Question number 2. Which of the following is an example of a non-fiction book? Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Biography of George Washington, or Dogzilla? Oh my gosh. Okay. All of you guys chose Biography of George Washington. Now, can somebody tell me what made you choose that out of the other books?
Because it's a biography about a person. And I know that Dogzilla and Diary of a Wimpy Kid are both fictional books.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Biography is a story about a person that's written by somebody else. So yeah, and it's a factual information. Great job. Question 3. A story that provides you with true facts. Fiction or nonfiction? When I read this, I thought it was ridiculous. I don't know if it went back. Let me show you the picture again. I cracked up. To burn off one M&M candy, you need to walk the length of a football field. I don't know about you guys, but I'm never eating M&Ms again. If that is true, that is The whole entire football field for one M&M. It's not worth
One
it.
M&M.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it depends on the day.
Very good.
It
Yeah.
makes me not want to eat a whole pack of M&Ms.
Right?
It makes
Definitely.
me just want to choose the mini ones because
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, there you go.
Maybe that's a half a field. There you go. All right. Bubba Guppy, you're on fire, getting 3 consecutive answers correct in a row. All right. Question number 4. Which of the following is an element of a fictional story? About a real person, contains maps and graphs, or has made up characters and settings? Absolutely. It's made up characters. And one of the ways, again, you could maybe use the first letter, saying fiction starts with an F. So fake, makeup would be an F. So it's fictional. Good job, you guys. Oh, somebody got bumped up. Bubble Guppy. Which of the following is not an element of nonfiction? Animals that act like people, table of contents, pictures with captions.
Just picked the wrong one.
You're right. It is animal that acts like people. Just as an example of Bad Kitty. Bad Kitty was acting like a person with a facial expression, acting bad, all the ways it could be because it food. Good job. And that's one of the questions that I think 80 grade level students would struggle with. I'm sure we educators is when you ask the question, which of the following is not? And that's a concept that's really hard for the students to understand. Okay, question number 6. How to Train Your Dragon, fiction or nonfiction? Great movie, by the way. Yeah, of course, it's fiction. How do you guys know it's a fictional story?
Dragons aren't real.
Dragons
There you
aren't
go.
real.
Yeah, dragons are not real. Yeah. No, the kids will try to convince you otherwise, but no, you're right. It is not real. All right, question number 7. A table of content or an index are usually found in what type of book? Fiction or nonfiction? Yeah, absolutely. And again, you can go back and refer to the infographic, or if you guys made an anchor chart together, you can refer back to that. Absolutely. All right, question number 8. Charlotte's Web, fiction or nonfiction? Yeah, fiction. Now, it would be interesting to know why somebody or what made somebody choose a nonfiction. Now, this might be a hard one. Excuse me. And this would be more geared towards maybe third, that might even be too high, maybe fourth and up, because the student would have had to read Charlotte's Web to understand whether it's fiction or nonfiction. So this might be a little bit of a difficult question for the kids to answer. So I might even omit that one. How to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, fiction or nonfiction? Yeah, it's nonfiction. Now, why? I could also see the little ones are saying, no, it's nonfiction because it's characters and you can't have arms and peanut butter and jelly. So, how would you have a discussion with the students on how to make peanut butter and jelly sandwich a nonfiction story?
It's giving you real steps, real information on how to make it,
Yeah,
even if it uses cartoon pictures.
It's giving you directions and
exactly.
steps.
Exactly. That's what I would tell the students too. That it is, ask the students, hey, have you ever made peanut butter sandwich before? How do you make it? And have the students give you step-by-step guidance. Yeah, absolutely. All right, last one. What type of book do you read for enjoyment? Fiction, nonfiction, or both? Yeah, absolutely. Now, on this one, you might get, what do you think most likely the students would choose?
Fiction.
Fiction.
Yeah, exactly. But you can explain to the students that anytime that you read, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, it's to the reader's preference. So, maybe just like how some of you guys like to read Diary of the Wimpy Kid. Some of you guys like to read about George Washington biography. So that is more for preference. So thank you so much. Let's see who won third place. Drum roll, please. Da-da-da-da.
Yay!
Yay! Bubble Guppy. Second place, Ray Ray. And our winner is Jackie with 8,029. So this might be a great way. Let me get out of this. Let me stop sharing. Okay, sorry about that. That was slowing down the speed of my internet. So this might be a great way to, have a fun, engaging activities with your students on fiction and nonfiction. And again, depending on your grade level, make sure you differentiate it. I definitely would not show this Kahoot game to my fifth graders because they're going to be so disengaged. So know your students and what they prefer to do. All right. Any questions on how to present a fiction or nonfiction book to your students?
No, thank you for sharing
No.
the
Now,
information.
one of the things that I would maybe recommend is I would definitely do a for ELAR teachers, maybe have a book, several books at a center. So while so you got the teachers are working with your small groups, some of you guys have writing tables and or writing station, reading station. This might be a sorting station. Get a whole bunch of fiction and nonfiction book and have the kids sort it out and have them justify their reason. I think, this book A is fiction because, and then blah, 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 blah. I think the other book is, nonfiction because blah, blah, blah. And have them teach them to refer back to the infographics or the anchor charts that you guys made. And one of the reasons I say this is because when the students come to the library, they can easily say, oh, this book is fiction, this book is nonfiction because of the signage that the library we have. But as I've visited many of your classrooms during our data meeting, I was looking at your classroom book selections. And a lot of the teachers have the books in either the magazine racks or on the bookshelf, and there aren't any labels fiction or nonfiction. So a lot of kids are going to be very confused. Well, this book has a picture of a dog, so it's a fiction. Or this book has, a picture of an airplane, so it's a nonfiction. But they aren't able to really explain to you why, because it's just all clustered together. And so that is why it is really important that we teach the kids difference between fiction and nonfiction. Just not for the library's sake, but in the classroom in real life. All right, so I would like for us to do a quick little independent practice. This is just a really quick quiz for you guys. I have two books that I would like to present, and if you guys could create a T-chart, or you know what, because time is kind of limiting, if you guys want to explain, but again, this would be something that you would do with your students to make sure that they mastered whether they mastered the understanding of fiction and nonfiction. So the first book is called Mutt Dog, and I won't read the whole thing to you, but I will read a quick summary. Mutt Dog is a brave and fast and gentle and loyal and smart, but he is also hungry and lonely and doesn't have a home. Then one day he discovers a shelter for people who are as cold and tired as he, and at last he meets a friend who might just be able to help. And read through the books, show the pictures, show the stories that goes into it, and have a book discussion. So based on this story, this dog is basically homeless, lives on the streets, and this one lady works at the homeless shelter, and he gets very attached to her. And so, oh, she is so nice. She feeds me. She provides, warmth for me. And this lady basically says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, dog. You can't stay at the shelter because it's for people." And she ends up actually going back and finding the dog, and she basically says, "You know what? I want to take care of you. I want to take you home." And she ends up adopting the dog. And at the end, it shows how grateful the dog is that he found a home and how They actually tried to come up with a name for a dog, and they just decided to name him Mutt Dog because they just. And at the very end, he is brave, he is fast, he is smart, and see all the reasons why they are. Are you guys there? Hello? Oh no.